like to welcome everyone to this afternoon's presser. A few orders of business before we get rolling. Again, as a courtesy to your fellow media members, as well as coaches and student athletes, we kindly ask you to silence your cell phones, so please check to make sure that they are silenced accordingly. When we call on you for questions, make sure to provide your name and affiliation each time you ask a question for the press conferences. Those of you, this is a hybrid press conference, so those of you on Zoom, just use the raise hand button. We will start with questions from those here in person, and then get to the Zoom questions. And then finally, want to remind everyone that recording press conferences on cell phones is prohibited, but media members are allowed to take still photos. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce head coach of South Dakota, Dawn Plitzowite.
Thank you.
Opening comments?
Well, our program's really excited to be here in Wichita. We certainly are excited about the challenge that we have in front of us in playing the University of Michigan. We know it's going to be an incredible opportunity for us. Michigan certainly has our greatest amount of respect as a program, as a team that's been here before. And so, we're trying to do some things that hopefully put us in a position where we can compete tomorrow out on the court.
Okay, let's open it for questions. We'll start off over here.
Shannon Ryan, The Athletic. What's the benefit of having these super seniors and the process of them returning? What was that like?
Yeah, our super seniors in Hannah, Liv, and Chloe certainly have been great leaders for our program. I think they've had an opportunity to continue demonstrating what it takes on a daily basis, starting in June, actually starting probably last year in March in the postseason, and getting us ready for the next opportunity to compete. So they're great leaders, certainly on the court. They're great leaders off the court. They have done just a tremendous job for us. And I think the fact that they've had a chance to play in the NCAA tournament before has certainly assisted us, in our first two games. And certainly there's an opportunity now that they get to continue playing, and we're excited about that.
Okay, let's go right here in front, the blue.
Ryan Zoot with MLive. What are the emotions like facing a program that you spent 5 years of your career at?
Yeah, I think we certainly have a great deal of respect for Michigan and how Kim Barnes-Rico and her staff have continued to, really elevate the program to whole new levels. Felt kind of really disappointed for the program that they weren't able to kind of capture their first conference championship this year and have that opportunity. So they're so close to it. So that was unfortunate. But to watch it continue to grow is something that is really pretty special. It's just kind of strange now that we play against each other. So now I kind of have to take the other side of it and say, man, now what do we do? Now how do we compete against a team like them? So it is kind of strange to be able to do it, but it's kind of neat at the same time.
Okay, we have one over here on the side. Go ahead.
Michael McCleary, Argus Leader. Is there a difference in the way that you approach this round now that the program has a little bit more name recognition in this field?
I don't think there's a difference in how we approach the game. We kind of do what we do, but I also think we have to be prepared in different ways against an opponent that is a much different opponent in Michigan. So, but we don't really change who we are, do anything differently because, I don't know, we just do what we do, I guess.
Let's go over to the side.
Sean Bauer, Kelland Media Group. Don, when you guys played Baylor, you were playing a road game in front of a hostile crowd. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of USD fans making the drive down from Vermillion. Just thoughts on, potentially having, a home crowd here?
Well, we hope that we have a lot of fans here from Vermillion. I'm certain that we weren't really expected to be the team here, so it ended up that we're the closest team here, and Vermillion fans travel, and our fans from our state and our region certainly travel. Our USD alumni in this area have been incredibly supportive. And so I hope that we have a great crowd. I mean, I really do think the town of Vermillion's probably shut down at this point in time because most people are on their way here already. So if you're trying to find a place to go out to eat or do anything in Vermillion, there might be one establishment open tomorrow, and that's probably where everybody else is going to be at watching the game. So it's kind of like the little small town kind of neat little storyline. So, and why not? Our program hasn't done this before. Michigan's had a chance to be here before. So for us, it is pretty special. It is new. And our fans are probably having a lot more fun with it than we are because they're not prepping for the game. But they should have a lot of fun.
Let's go and go back, then we'll come back in front.
How have you seen support grow for this program?
Well, can you repeat that? I didn't catch that.
How have you seen support grow for the program?
the support for our program grow, I think it's been consistent. You know, when we got to the University of South Dakota 6 years ago, the program before we had gotten there had won the WNIT, and so there was a lot of support for the program before we had gotten there, and it's continued to grow in a lot of different ways. I think what's kind of neat, great little story for you. So our students wanted to come down to the game. I have a son who's on the men's basketball team, and our son was like, "Mom, people actually know who you are. Our students know." And I'm like, "I know. All the PT students that we share the facility with, they are now like fans of ours. I told them to come, but they're studying, so that's a good thing too." But a lot of students wanted to come, and it's 6+ hour trip. So they're trying to get a fan bus to come, but there aren't any buses, there aren't any bus drivers. And so our university had this little find a way mentality and went all over the state of South Dakota and found a bus. And then it filled up, and so then they found another bus. And so I think the bus has to travel probably a couple hours, 3-4 hours to actually get to Vermillion before they actually pick our people up and then actually come down here. So I think the support is really kind of fun to be around. It's great. Our pep band was practicing today outside of my window, and I'm thinking, this isn't a typical game day or day before the game prep. And so, that's kind of interesting. Tell the saxophones they've got to get a little bit better before the game, but they're saxophones my people. I played saxophone, so we have extra saxophones that came on this trip, so I was kind of happy to see that.
Let's go here in front.
Ryan Zoot with MLive. Who had a major impact on your coaching career while you were at Michigan, and in what ways?
Well, certainly Kevin Borseth is a great mentor for me, someone who recruited me and actually got me into the coaching profession. I thought I was going to be a kindergarten teacher, and somehow I ended up as a college basketball coach. And sometimes, we have just as much fun doing this as we probably would in the kindergarten classroom. But Kevin really certainly has. Mike Williams, it's kind of a great storyline. So Mike Williams and I coached together at Grand Valley. Before we coached together at the University of Michigan, and now Mike Williams is actually coaching our daughter at Grand Valley State. So, just kind of some great little storylines and a lot of fun, and just I think goes to show how small the circle of the basketball connection is. Layla, Ophelia, like I said, and our daughter played basketball together. We recruited Naz when I was at Northern Kentucky, but I don't know, Naz, I guess, decided that Michigan was maybe a better fit than Northern Kentucky. So kind of a lot of little different storylines and a lot of fun with it that way.
Okay, let's go right here to the left side.
Jay Elson, Midco Sports. Don, last week was such a tremendous accomplishment in beating Ole Miss and then certainly Baylor on their floor. How does the challenge now change with Michigan, especially when you look at the length they bring at the guard spot?
Right. Michigan is a great defensive team, and they're a great offensive team. And so they provide us major challenges on both ends of the court. Very tough, very disciplined, I think very physical. So I think we've got some, and then on top of it, I think they're one of the best rebounding teams in the nation. And so the list just kind of goes on and on and on. And so for us, we're going to try. I think we have to go into the game with an approach to be the aggressor. They're going to go into the game with the same mindset, the same approach. And then I think we have to have a couple different options of things that we can try and see if any of them work. And if they don't, we better scrap it and go to the next one pretty quickly. So certainly great challenges for us on both ends of the court, trying to keep them away from the rim, trying to limit three-point opportunities, trying to limit second chance opportunities, and they get them in so many different ways. And then, their defense has really been locked down throughout this tournament and before that, but certainly we look at what they've been doing and certainly trying to figure out what can we do. They do a great job, I think, of speeding teams up in different ways and making them play kind of and get uncomfortable. And so we'll see if there's a couple things maybe that we can try that'll give us a chance.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick one here from Zoom. Kevin, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Don. Is Kevin Draper from the New York Times. In the last week, there's been a lot of conversation around units, the money that men's teams earn for their conference as they advance in the tournament that women's teams do not. I'm kind of wondering what you think about units and that structure, especially as kind of one of the smaller, programs left in the tournament.
Well, I just know this. We don't typically charter fly all that often, and so we've had a chance to do that during the tournament, and that's been kind of neat for our players. The per diem amount that we get is way more than we normally get, so the meals we've gotten have been incredibly wonderful for us. And so while we may not get some of those other things, I think our players are having an awful lot of fun with what we do have at this point in time, the opportunities. So, yeah, I think I asked our players if any of the NCAA towels were left from the first 2 rounds, and I think they got every single one of those too. So we were told it was okay. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. We asked in advance, and so we're having an awful lot of fun with it.
Okay, let's go back
Thank
here
you.
in person. You got one right here.
Grant Sweeter, Kelland Sports. Done. Shakira Austin and then Nalissa Smith, and now you get a really another tough one. What makes Naz such a special player, and how can you try to slow her down?
Yeah, the NCAA didn't do us any favors with both players. It's kind of like it'll be kind of fun to watch them go in the WNBA draft, like which one goes ahead of the others. But Naz is so special because she doesn't get sped up, she doesn't get rushed. You can't really even keep her off the glass. That's a challenge for you. If the ball touches her hands, you're not getting it out of her hands. And so and then on the defensive end, she's all over the perimeter kids posting out, or perimeter kids passing the basketball, your post kids out there. She can guard you inside. So Naz is really, really special. She's kind of a very unique player in that regard. She can do it all. And so, I think it'll be fun to watch her, but it'd be more fun if we didn't have to coach against her, I'll tell you that.
Okay, I think we have time for one more. Go right back.
Coach Matt Park, Michigan Radio. How are
I
you?
think I remember you, yeah, man.
You very much the same person that I remember from when you were at Michigan. I'm curious how you've
In
changed
reference to how you saying
just,
that.
just
Okay,
very
fair enough.
personable, outgoing, funny, witty.
Right, great.
How have you changed as a coach in the last 10 years now that you've been in charge of your own programs?
I don't know if I've changed a whole lot, except hopefully I've gotten a little bit smarter, and the game changes, players change, and so certainly trying to find ways to, I think, continue to connect and continue to grow and continue to look at different ways to get better. But yeah, I would say overall, I think our philosophy is that we want to play really hard, we want to get after it, but we do want to have an awful lot of fun with it, because that's the bottom line. If we're having fun in what we're doing, then mission accomplished at that point in time, and hopefully we can find a way to do some things on the court that are good too at the same time. But our players are having a lot of fun while they're here. They still have to study though. That's a little bit different. Last week we were on spring break. I think they like that a lot more.
Okay, I'm afraid that's all the time we have. We'd like
Sounds
to
good.
thank
Thank you.
Coach coming out here. We will have the student athletes up here in approximately 5 minutes. All right, welcome again. We have our student athlete representatives from the University of South Dakota. I'd like to introduce Hannah Shervin, not close, Chloe Lamb, and Liv Korngable. So we'd like to now open the floor for questions. Okay, let's go ahead and start back here.
Jay Elson, Midco Sports. Ladies, particularly for Liv and Chloe, the challenge was great in and of itself last week, obviously with Ole Miss and Baylor, but how does it change against this Michigan team, particularly from your spots with the length that they offer at the guard?
Liv, why don't you start then?
Yeah, compared to Baylor's guards, they have quite a bit of size, and we're preparing for that in practice. But regardless, I think they're just a tough team. They have a lot of toughness. They're very aggressive on defense, and so that will be a challenge for us.
Chloe?
I would agree. They bring a lot of challenges both on the perimeter and down low. The size will definitely be different from last weekend. Liv and I maybe should have played one-on-one this week to prepare. But yeah, we've been preparing for it. Yeah, just doing what we can.
Got one back on the side.
Sean Bauer, KLM Media Group. Hannah, you've kind of gotten a murderer's row of bigs to play against this tournament. Now you get another challenge in Naz. How much are you just embracing this challenge of getting to go against some of the best bigs in the country every game?
Yeah, it's not every day you get to continue to play against such talented posts, and I'm excited, and I've been having fun doing it and learning from them. They're really very talented, both offensively and defensively so far, and I don't see any difference as far as the being very talented and skilled in Naz Hellman.
Okay, go over on the side.
Michael McClear, Argus Leader. Hannah, does Naz remind you of any one-on-one matchups you've had in the past?
I don't think I could compare her to a player that we've played before. She's a great rebounder, and that's pretty evident in watching her. And she's long and she can move on the perimeter and score inside. So I think it'll be a good challenge for us.
Okay. Just on the other side of the aisle there.
Matt Park, Michigan Radio. You guys had such a great weekend with getting off to those quick starts, and how much did your confidence just grow as time went on and as those games went on? You guys were able to have the lead and keep the lead against those teams, Ole Miss and Baylor.
I think the hot starts were very beneficial to us, and then leaning on our defense when shots weren't falling, especially in that fourth quarter of that Baylor game. So just kind of sticking to our defense and then scoring as we can.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Hi, Phil Constantino, Westwood One. Coach was in here a few moments ago, and she talked about how this is not a normal experience for you guys, traveling on the charter flight, the meals. I'm wondering if there was a moment where being here at the Sweet 16, it set in for you guys, and you realized this is different, this is not normal, and what was that moment?
I think right now. We just walked in here, and this is definitely the biggest media we've ever.
The brightest lights
yes.
we've ever encountered.
Yeah, so definitely right now.
I think there's something new every few minutes that we're like, oh, we didn't know that was going to happen, or this is cool.
We had 2 police motorcycles escort us to practice today. Usually sometimes in Vermilion, we have a fire truck and a cop car, but the motorcycles were new.
Shannon Ryan, The Athletic. Your coach was also talking about just the small town support you're getting. Chloe being from South Dakota, maybe could you describe how you've seen that grow, and if you two want to chime in too?
Yeah, I think South Dakota is, very special because of the support that we see for women's basketball. Having South Dakota State and USD, and then not being very far from each other, it makes it kind of easy, I think, as a fan, to be a fan of women's basketball. But yeah, we see a lot of great support, both in Vermilion, and then from our hometowns, our moms. They're kind of crazy, and I think they pull a lot of people, make them fans. Coach P obviously is very passionate. She pulls a lot of fans for us too. But yeah, it's great. For me, I get to support and represent South Dakota, so that's kind of a cherry on top as well, I would say. Sorry, what's that?
How are your moms crazy?
They're great recruiters. Coach P should really get them on their staff. They make us seem so cool, so much cooler than we actually are.
They call themselves like the Mom Squad.
Mom Squad.
Yeah, they
yeah.
have shirts, so.
Okay.
Some days we don't own them, I should say.
Let's go in the back.
Yeah, people should follow that Twitter account as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Carter would deal with South Dakota Radio. Chloe, that nothing to lose mentality that this team had was so huge at the start and all the way through that Baylor game, with a little bit more time to get ready and with a little bit more, like y'all were saying, of a media circus and everything that comes with the Sweet 16. What's the key to maintaining that mindset to make sure that you're just going to go out and play basketball and play like you don't have anything to lose here?
I think, you hit it right on the nail, just playing basketball. That's kind of, in its simplest terms, what we're going to be doing. And I think having that mindset is beneficial for us. It was nice to have a few days of preparation, of course, just that one-day prep with Baylor. But again, hopefully that is beneficial for us as well. But remembering it's just a basketball game, trusting in what we've done thus far. Hopefully puts us in a good position.
Okay, right here.
Matt Park, Michigan Radio. I'm curious for each of you, why did you decide to come back and take your extra year?
Okay, Liv, why don't you start with that?
When I came to South Dakota, I didn't see as many minutes. My freshman, sophomore, junior year, played more of a role player my junior year, and then got to play a lot of minutes my senior year. And I decided to come back to get more minutes on the court. That's a special experience, and we've really reaped the benefits of that and have gotten to have some very special experiences and obviously some very great accomplishments.
For me, I have more than enjoyed my time here, and I kind of thinking ahead, knowing that I would want to come back to this time in my life, and there's nothing really pulling me away. So having more fun, couldn't pass that up.
Similarly to Chloe, just experiencing what South Dakota has in the community and our success on the court, I wanted more of that, and it was something that I think I would have regretted if I turned it down.
Okay, I have a couple of Zoom questions here. Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'll address this to Chloe. You talked about just, how popular women's basketball is in South Dakota. I feel like the South Dakota State rivalry is one of women's basketball's better rivalries. Is this something where you think even Jackrabbits fans are rooting for you guys now, just because it's a South Dakota thing? And also, do you sort of sense that you're one of the teams people across the country are rooting for because people sort of love, the upset queens or kings of the tournaments?
I think if I'm hearing you right, your first question was if we have recruited any Jackrabbit fans, so I'll address that first. I hope so. I guess, our rivalry is pretty strong. I come from a community that kind of bleeds blue at home, so I know they are supporting me. Some of the other Jackrabbit fans might not be, but I think seeing a South Dakota school doing well, it's hard not to cheer for that. But I didn't really understand your second question. If you could repeat that, please.
Do you think nationally people have sort of, people love the double-digit seeds, if you will, on the men's and women's tournaments that have some upsets? Have you sort of sensed nationally that you guys have been one of the teams that people have really kind of fallen in love with in this so far in the tournament? The underdog story is always something that people are going to enjoy, whether that's kind of how we think about it or not. I think that is just a popular enjoyment for people. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. March Madness in and of itself is a lot of fun. Kind of these mid-major or, as you said, double-digit seeded teams. Maybe kind of throwing everyone for a loop is fun. It's just exciting. So.
Okay, we have another one here via Zoom. Zach, go ahead.
Hi, ladies. Zach James, Sioux City Journal. Hannah, Coach Pete was talking about the student bus heads that are coming down tomorrow and how much they had to kind of pull away and kind of had to scramble together to find 2 buses for the students. How cool is it that not only families are coming, but the kind of the student body of the school is kind of coming down tomorrow?
I think it's awesome. Our Coyote Crazies are, they're loyal and they bring a lot of energy, so I'm very excited about not only filling 1 student bus, but 2. I'm very proud of our school for that.
Michelle, did you have another question?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any others from the floor? Going once? Made them come all the way here to field these questions. Okay, we'll wrap it up early then. Ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.